Well, hey there. Welcome to another TriCity Scuba Center video. This one isn't necessarily a how-to, it's more about questions that we commonly receive about people who are interested in taking an open water diver course. There are basically four common questions that we see or hear more often than not. And the first one is, how old do I have to be in order to take a course? Or how old do I have to be before I stop diving? Well, it's pretty simple. In Canada, at least, 10 is the minimum age to receive a junior open water diver certification. And from there, the certification lasts a lifetime and you can dive until you can't dive anymore. In fact, I was in Cozumel as a brand new diver on a dive boat with a gentleman who was in his 80s, was no longer able to carry his dive gear. Not a problem. After it was all assembled and he made sure that his BCD was positively buoyant, the boat crew put it in the water. He jumped in the water like a snorkeler, donned his dive gear, and we went on a beautiful dive through Palancar Caves. We came back out again. He doffed his dive gear or took it off, scampered back up the ladder and sat down, and the dive crew brought his gear up on the boat. So there are a lot of reasons or a lot of ways that you can dive even if you're not physically able to carry the dive gear in. So as long as you're 10 years old and you have enough dexterity to be able to attach and disconnect the low pressure inflator and put the gear on, you're good to go. Next question is my ears. I had tubes when I was a kid. I have problems. I'm afraid of equalizing. When I dive to the bottom of my swimming pool, my forehead hurts. All of these things are about equalization of the sinus cavities in your head. There really are no reasons why you shouldn't be able to dive. My rule of thumb is if you can clear your ears flying in an airplane, you can do it underwater. The biggest problem that people have experienced is if maybe they've done a Discover Scuba experience down south, they might have been rushed through it. And when you get rushed through something like that, or you're not, it's not explained the different ways that you can clear your ears and your sinuses, air spaces, you can experience some discomfort. We like to avoid that. If you go to dan.org, that's the Divers Alert Network, they have some great articles on equalization and a bunch of different techniques that you can try if you're interested in doing that. The next point that comes up is claustrophobia. I'm so afraid, what about wearing the mask or, being in the water? Won't I feel claustrophobic? In actual fact, the people that have come in and have been afraid of being claustrophobic, it's not been an issue. You have a great freedom of motion. I mean, here we are walking around, we have basically two axes of movement, which is going to be, well, many, because we can walk in circles and stuff, but you get the point. When you're in the water and you're neutrally buoyant, not only can you follow the flat plane of the ground that you're on, but with your breath control, you can inhale and exhale, and that affects the depth in the water column that you are. The other thing about not being claustrophobic is you have your air supply in your back and you can breathe as easy as we're breathing right now. And then finally, they worry about the mask. Is that claustrophobic? I see them walking in the front door of the store here with their sunglasses on. What's the difference? Once you put the mask on, you have the same field of view as if wearing a pair of sunglasses. So really, a lot of these fears are completely up here, and with some good training and taking some time to deal with your concerns, we get you diving in the water. And finally, thanks to Shark Week, people are always worried about sharks. What about sharks? They like seafood. They don't like us. We're big and we're noisy in the water. Most of the diving that you'll see is open circuit diving. That means that when we exhale, we're making bubbles in the water. Those bubbles that we make are a natural repellent to just about everything in the water because it's very noisy and very invasive to the critters underwater. They're not interested, including sharks. Plus, we're really big. There are very, very, very few instances of sharks attacking divers. In fact, I'm not aware of that unless they put themselves in a hazardous position. So if you're in there and you're doing something to provoke the sharks or any other sea life, well, chances will happen, or chances are that something can happen. Same thing as a dog in somebody's backyard. Dogs aren't going to attack you generally unless you're doing something to provoke them. So there you go. Those are the four common questions that we receive around why should I dive and maybe barriers to scuba diving. None of them are anything that should stop you from diving. So there you go. Thanks for watching.